What's up, everybody? My name's Patrick. I want to spill my heart out on a few things right now. Uh, I'm titling this video "Beautiful Darkness," and I just want to get a lot off my chest. I find joy in being a Christian, and I find more joy in being different than other people. The emo, goth, and alternative subcultures have allowed me to truly appreciate my artistic, creative, and my ability to take pride in all that I do. I know y'all heard the loud trucks outside. Being a Christian has allowed me to enjoy it way more because you get to see creation and creativity as something with more value. You appreciate the creatures that are outside, like the ravens, the crows, the night sky, the moon, the owls, and the way trees look in the fall when the leaves fall from them. You appreciate things like that, and you also appreciate people who are different more so than you ever could. Because deep down, you look at them as more of a person than you would anything else. And you also begin to realize that the normal people, the status quo, you really don't appreciate that as much as those people who stand out and rise above that. I want to start off with a story, and this is true. It's 1998, December 1998. We getting ready to go to a basketball game in Greensboro, and I was 14 years old at the time, and we walked into Wendy's, got our food, and sit down. And there was a guy who walked past us, and he looked like Marilyn Manson. And when I say Marilyn Manson, I'm talking about he had the platform boots on, he had the corpse paint, he had the spandex tight pants, pretty much the whole thing. And I mean, I hate to say this, my mom and dad they pretty much stared this guy down, and I'm like, why y'all looking at this guy like this? And my mom responded that your dad saw something unusual. And I mean, this guy was just sitting down, eating dinner like everybody else. And the restaurant happened to be packed that night. And everybody else was staring at this guy like he was some kind of monster. But it was so... Sometimes when people eat and they enjoy their food, they quiet. But people won't sit there and enjoy their food. They was sitting there looking at this guy all quiet. And back at this time, I was mostly into pop music and pretty much a wannabe prep phase. So it really wasn't time for me to actually involve into what I actually became. But I remember actually sitting down and thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness," because it's like people were staring at this guy, and you could tell that he didn't want these people staring at him. And I remember the feelings that I had towards that. It was the first time I've actually had some sympathy for somebody who didn't want to be bothered. And I was 14 at the time, and I didn't want to say anything because at the time I would have upset my mom and my dad, and it would have created a bigger issue at the time. And as I was going to church, people would sit back and talk about Marilyn Manson and everybody else that was involved in punk rock and goth, and they'd pretty much dismiss them as Satanists and devil worshippers. And that was pretty much engraved in me for a long time, being a kid, and then going into high school a year after, and seeing a lot of your friends wearing all black and listening to heavier music now. And I still thought it was cool, and I actually wanted to dress like that. But I didn't need the drama back at home, and I didn't need the drama in my church family. And then at the time, we would go to Value City, And of course, I didn't have a job at the time, so my parents would pick out my clothes. And I remember me picking out outfits at Value City, my mom telling me to put them back. And that pretty much went on until my first year of college, when I actually did get my job. And then at the same time, when I did buy those clothes, I couldn't wear them because I was worried that I was worried about everybody with their occultic conspiracy theories, and because of things that was said in our church. But I thank God that I eventually got over a lot of this stuff, and that I was pretty much able to start doing my thing. You know, it wasn't actually to 2009 until I actually started dressing how I felt with just no strings attached. I was comfortable in my own skin, and pretty much it started with comic book t-shirts and superhero things, and then later on it evolved into band tees, skulls, zombies, studs, leather, and the whole 9 yards. And of course, people questioned me at the time, but I mean, I was more comfortable back then. But once I started doing that, I pretty much stopped going to church because at the time there were kids that I was familiar with and that I related to. They went to church, and people were there tearing them down because they were different. And so at that time, I stopped going, and I was pretty much living my life as an agnostic. But as time went on, I wanted to seek a more presence with God in my life. I wanted to be a Christian, but getting a grasp on certain things in my life was very difficult. I was also sick of being judged by other people as well. At the time, I was hooked on pornography, and I didn't feel like I was good enough to be inside of a church. And then as I began to eat healthier and take things in stride, some things ultimately happened, and I began to feel heartache, anxiety, and depression over a period of time. And of course, God revealed Himself to me in that midst of hell that I was going through, and I decided to become a Christian. I decided to go back to church, and as I developed this relationship with Christ, me and my mom's relationship got stronger, and she became my prayer partner. And like as we got closer, she began to see me as something different than what other people said that I was, and some of the stuff that we had differences on. But I mean, I may not ever see this guy that I saw in Wendy's 19 years ago. But if I did see him, I want to thank him for allowing me to see the beauty in other people, in people who are different. And I want to thank him for opening those doors to me, for appreciating everybody for who they are. You know, my reaction to somebody wearing a pentagram on their shirt isn't to point them out and beat them over the head with scripture and everything else. You know, I see them as a human being like everybody else, while other people may see them as monsters. I'm not scared of somebody who's wearing a Ouija board or 666 on their shirt, clothes, or tattooed on them. I mean, my job is to go out and love on these people anyway. My job is to be a true example of who Christ is to these people, even though they aren't Christians. And I feel like if we alienate ourselves from these people, we become a piss poor example. And that's not what I want to do. That's not who I want to be. I want to be somebody who, amongst all this nonsense, will treat them with respect. Even when they feel like they aren't respected. Even when they don't feel like they're loved. And I feel like that's what this needs to be about. Not going out beating people over the head and talking trash to them. All right, love y'all. God bless y'all. Peace.